Hello, my name is Laura. You will see and hear me in this video, but you will only hear my husband. The topic for today is one that so many people have been asking about. Who is my twin flame or twin ray? The name is interchangeable. And have I met them? Will I meet them? All these questions about if they'll even have a relationship with their twin flame. So I'm going to be asking these questions of my husband, because another thing that is asked in relation to this is my twin flame my soulmate, or is my soulmate the same thing as a twin flame? So we will begin. Again, you'll hear my husband only.
How come you don't say that I'm the videographer? See, now I'm right behind the camera. That's what I'm not saying now. I'm standing right behind
When I don't give him credit for being the videographer, he wants the credit. When I give it to him, he doesn't want it. I don't know.
No, because you said, he's standing on the side. See, I'm right behind it now.
You're right behind it now, but you're about to sit down.
Says who? See, I don't have to sit down, and because you say that, I'm not going to sit down. I'm going to stand right here.
You see what he does? All right, so how about if you answer the question?
Okay, well, how do you want to start?
Let's start with the first one. Is there a difference between a twin flame, twin ray, and a soulmate?
Okay. Well, based on the teachings of the Ascended Masters, right? Mm-hmm. And Ascended Masters are individuals that walk the earth like us, just in case someone missed it, and died and ascended back to heaven. So they're up there helping us, like Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, any of the prophets. Moses, as you saw, he showed up with Elijah when Jesus needed some help on that mountain before he got arrested and got crucified, right? Mm-hmm. They call it what, transfiguration? I think
yes.
It's called, right? So those were two Ascended Masters who Jesus called upon to help him, to calm him down before going through that
trial.
Well, see, you're talking about a trial. I'm talking about where they killed him.
Well, I call the whole thing a trial.
That was terrible. Anyway, but what a thing to go through. So he just showing his human side, I guess. He said, guys, come give me some encouraging words here. And they showed up and talked to him. That's what Ascended Masters do. They're there to support us.
Okay.
And whether or not you believe in them, that's why I'm using an example so people can see that even Jesus had that experience, where he called upon individuals that had passed away, and they appeared and talked to him and calmed him down. So, according to the teachings from the Ascended Master they've handed down to us, there is a difference between a soulmate and a twin
flame or twin ray.
Twin flame or twin ray, right? Mm-hmm. Twin flame or twin ray, different words for the same thing, pretty much. So let's start with a twin ray or a twin flame, and I like the idea of the twin flame or twin rays. Actually, same thing, because of course everything is energy, right?
Right.
And our souls are made of energy. God is energy. So when we read that we're made, or God made us in His own image, it's the energy part of God that we represent, and then we have this clothing, this physical form that we see that covers the energetic self, which is the God self.
So being created in God's image is the soul part of us. That's not right. This human physical body.
Right, because people, I think that folks get confused about that, because they might be thinking, well, if we're made in the image of God, then why do I look different than this other person? So how can God look like all of us when all of us look different, right?
I've heard that before.
Oh, I've never heard it, but I would just think that people would ask that question. And that's because we're looking at the physical aspect of us, not the spiritual aspect, not the energy aspect, which is more tied to the spiritual aspect. And that part, we look just like God, because energy doesn't look different, does it?
No.
Energy looks the same. Mm-hmm. So,
you were talking about twin flame ray.
Right. No, did I answer your question? That's.
Yes, you answered my question.
Okay, that's what I paused.
About
I want to make sure
in the image of God, it's our soul that is in the image of God.
Soul. Mm-hmm. So now, it is said, depending on which book you're reading, if it's the Bible, and also depending on which version of the Bible you're reading, things could be a little different because translations are different. As they've said, again, this is not to bring up any debate about which Bible is better, but they've said that the most accurate versions of the Bible are the ones that are closest to the native language, the original language that the Bible was written in.
Okay.
And then it's been translated since then, right? I don't recall what language it was written in originally. Was it Latin? I'm not sure. Or
No,
Greek?
Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek.
Okay. But whichever
They're different depending on what book they're looking at.
No, the original one. The original
texts that they find,
right, they're found.
that were found, were written in different languages,
Oh,
from
really?
what I recall. And then they
Okay.
put them all together.
All right. So depending on the language that they were written in, and we mentioned like Hebrew, Greek,
Aramaic.
Latin, right? Sanskrit. The farther away you get from those original scripts, then the more diluted they become. I like the example that you give about that you whisper in somebody's ear. How about you share that?
Oh, the telephone game.
Right.
Right. Like with the telephone game, it starts with one person. You could have 10 people in the group, and one person whispers to the person right next to them a phrase, and then that person has to whisper the exact same thing to the next person until it comes all the way back around to the person who started it. And normally by the time it comes back to the person who started it, they're laughing out loud because it doesn't sound very much like anything that they had told the very first person.
And the different versions of the Bible happen to be just like that. For example, you have the Douay Rheims version of the Bible.
Right.
And when we compare that to any of these versions that exist now, like those like the King James version, it's different,
Right.
right?
Or the New Living Bible, or even the Jerusalem Bible, all of them are different.
Well, the Jerusalem Bible, that comes from the Hebrew translation, but that's also different. That's what they call it, Jerusalem Bible, right? That's different than the regular King James version, and that's the one that's normally used by the Jewish population because it comes directly from
The Hebrew,
the Hebrew translation. So anyway, depending on which one you read and whether or not you're reading, say, the teachings of Buddha or Krishna or Muhammad, which are different, like the Quran, right? They each tell a different story as to how we were created, how the souls were created. Going back to the way we're taught as Christians, there's Adam and Eve. And it was just Adam and Eve when Eve ate the apple, and trouble started from there, right? And they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and next thing we know, they have children, and their children have children. Well, that's kind of messed up in my mind, when you think about biology and genes and genetics, because one of the things you learn in genetics is that if you have, after a while, you can cross-contaminate. How about that? I'll just put it that way.
Yes.
And you could wind up with kids that are really deformed or just, it's not good.
Right.
So try to explain that. If you go by just that version
That Adam and
of
Eve
the
were the
story.
first two people, and everyone populated from
from
there.
them, and we're all healthy, and there's something wrong with that.
I often
picture,
wondered that myself.
Right. So
After biology class, I was
I'm
like,
still a
"Whoa."
Christian, but that doesn't mean that everything makes sense to me. And that one, look at it from the biology standpoint, it doesn't fit. And I'm saying that because now we know that if you have brothers and sisters that get married and have kids and have a family, they all of a sudden the bloodline just gets messed up, and kids are born deformed or
Mental challenges.
Exactly.
all
And I just
kinds of
feel that
things.
if that were the case, then we'd have a whole bunch of that by the time we even got to Jesus. Because by that time we've been through what? Abraham, Moses, all those, it would have been messed up. And we're healthy people. So, anyway, took a little tangent there.
Little detour there.
So depending on which text you read or which teachings you follow, it's a little different. However, it's said that it's written in one of them that, or many of them, that God created all souls at the same time. See, I always thought as a Catholic and as a Christian that the soul is created before the baby is born. Because the baby just wants to be born, right? So then the soul is just being created before the baby is born. And then it's actually different than that. And that's because we don't really believe in re-embodiment. That was never taught to us as Catholics or Christians.
Correct.
So of course we would think that. I think it's only natural that we think that. You know? You're expecting a baby. Well, the soul, God just created that soul.
Brand new soul.
Exactly. You know? Now though, based on the teachings, it's different because all souls are created at the same time. So where are they in the meantime? They're up in heaven. They've been trained. They're busy up there. They're doing what they need to do. Some souls haven't even populated Earth. Do you know that? They haven't come to Earth yet because they don't want to come to Earth yet. Because again, it's free will. You come when you're ready, when you want to come. God doesn't say, you better go down there. You know, it's up to you. And those are the ones they call new souls. Right? Not because their souls are new, but because it's the first time they've ever come to Earth.
Right. They haven't experienced the human form yet.
And people that have this discernment, the gift of discernment, can tell when they run into a new soul. They actually can tell. I'm not able to do that, but a lot of people can, actually. So if all souls are created at the same time, then this approach I'm about to explain will make sense. If you think that God created souls just before they're born, one at a time, then this doesn't make sense. Okay? Because twin ray or twin flame simply means what? It's an exact copy. Right? So in order to have an exact copy, you'd have to be twins or triplets or quadruplets, right? While according to the teachings, each one of us, we have an exact copy of ourselves out there at the energy level. Not the way we look. I'm not talking about, they call them doppelgangers or something like that. What term is that?
Yes, people say doppelgangers when you meet someone who physically looks like you.
So we're not talking about that. We're talking about on the spiritual side. They're identical to you. On the energy side, they're identical but opposite. They're the opposite charge. So you're the positive charge to the negative charge. Or they're negative charge, you're the positive.
So kind of like a battery where one end is positive, one end is negative?
That's correct. Or yin and yang. That's why the Asians have a yin and yang symbol, because you need the balance. So you don't get the balance by yourself. You have that other half to balance you. That's why people talk about my better half or maybe my worse half. I don't know.
My other half.
Other half. There you go. That's the one. My other half. Because you know that there's another part to you. So people use that saying, but there's some truth to it in that you know that there's another part to you. You just don't know how to explain it. Right? So that's a twin ray or a twin flame, because God created this one flame and then split it in half. And then had two flames, two souls existing from that one flame. And the whole goal of these two separate flames is to come back and be one flame. They're supposed to find each other and join together to be that one flame. That's why for wedding ceremonies, they say that you combine these two as one.
To be joined as one.
To be joined as one. That's where that comes from. Because it's the two separate flames that are supposed to be joined as one flame.
Okay.
That's twin flame or twin ray.
All right. So now what is a soulmate?
A soulmate, I love the concept of soulmate. A lot of people are so focused on twin ray that maybe they don't understand the importance of a soulmate. Because a soulmate, to me, a soulmate, you could actually mistake a soulmate for your twin ray or your twin flame. And you could get along a whole lot better with your soulmate than your twin ray or your twin flame.
Why is that?
I will get to that. But anyway, a soulmate is a soul, because we're talking at the soul level, right?
Right.
It's a soul that you have had many experiences with in different lifetimes. Again, the idea of multiple lifetimes has to be accepted in order for this to make sense. If you don't accept the idea of multiple lifetimes, then this doesn't make. You could just forget about this. Just turn it off. You're not interested in this. However, if you're even open a little bit to the idea that we live multiple times, we pass on, we come back. Again, not reincarnation, re-embodiment, right? Which is different.
Right.
That's on a separate video. Then this will make sense, because you'll get to understand that in one lifetime, you worked with this individual. Worked simply means they've helped you, you've helped them accomplish your mission or your purpose in that lifetime. That's what I mean by work.
Okay.
I don't mean a job. I mean work as in you had a working relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That could entail you two being married, you two having a family. And you could have been married multiple times in different embodiments.
Mm-hmm.
But the person is not your identical half. This person is a soul that you just happen to have a really good frequency with. You resonate well together. Your karma is very similar. And from lifetime to lifetime, you guys you've chosen to balance similar karma together.
Okay.
And you could be the best of friends. I mean, you really take care of each other. Sometimes this person knows you better than your spouse. And that's where a challenge could be, right? Because if your spouse is a type that doesn't fully understand, they could become jealous and think, wow, you spend more time with this person, or why do you care about this person more than myself, or you're having an affair with that person. And it's none of that. It's just that it's a connection. It's a spiritual connection that a lot of people can't explain. They just know that they're close to this person and they get along really well with this person.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for example, like Jackie and you,
Mm-hmm.
right? I could mention that one. You could talk about that. I think that's a good example.
Oh, my friend Jackie is more like a sister to me. We're very close. We have a lot of things in common, and
I'm not talking about you and her being sisters. I'm talking
you
about
said
Jackie and myself.
You said about me and her. You didn't say about you and her. But my husband is very close with Jackie. He
So we're
calls
talking
her
about the opposite
his
gender
sister.
part. Mm-hmm.
Right, and with Jackie, she's like she could be his second wife, and he actually calls her his second wife because of everything that she does for him.
And his wife,
helps him.
her husband understands. She's not jealous, by the way.
No.
Thank you for not being jealous.
Jackie's husband is very understanding. Just like I'm very understanding, because I know the situation.
That's the part I was talking about. How you're not jealous because if Jackie calls me right now, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm going to drop that and answer the phone because I'm concerned that she's not okay, right?
Uh-huh.
And you don't look at that and say, "Oh, why do you just drop everything for Jackie?" You just understand that we're that close, And it's always funny when she'll tell you, "Why are you doing that? This is how you prepare his food." Right?
Yes.
Talk about that. The part I was talking about.
Well, thank you for finally getting to that. Yes, she'll question me as to why I do certain things in regard to my husband, because she said, "No, he won't like it that way. He'll like it this way." And I'm like, "Well, how do you know?" She's like, "I just know. He's Asian. That's just how he's gonna like it." And so we have conversations like that. She knows him some ways better than I do.
And is she right when she said that?
She usually is. Do I get jealous? No.
Because
not at all.
But that's because
okay, I'll learn.
We are. What's it called?
Who, us?
No, Jackie and
you
myself.
And Jackie are soulmates.
Soulmates. We are soulmates.
Right.
Yeah, we are soulmates. And I bring it up as an example because I know there are other people out there that feel close to other individuals. And they might be thinking, "Oh, maybe I should get married to this person." No, just because you feel close to someone doesn't mean you have to marry them.
Right.
Even have a relationship with them. It doesn't mean that. Jackie and I met many, many years ago, and we have never had that kind of relationship. No. We just know that we work extremely well together, and she's always there. We're always there for each other, along with the kids and the whole thing, the whole family, right?
Right.
It's like we're one family. Her family and our family, we're one family.
We are one family.
Right. That's
That's a soul family.
A soul family, exactly. That's a soul, and that's not, such a thing exists. A soul family exists. So that's a soul mate, where I've been shown many embodiments where Jack and myself work together. You know, where...
Well, you've even told me about embodiments that you were shown where you two were married.
Exactly. And had kids.
Uh-huh.
So, yes.
Where was I in those? I don't know.
You weren't needed then.
We were not at the same level spiritually, so I was one way, he was the other.
You were somewhere else. I don't know. You were probably married to someone else. Ooh, that's a shame that you would do that.
Oh, really? No. Look what you did. You married someone else.
You could have come and joined it. I was probably a Mormon in that lifetime. Who knows?
Oh, ways to qualify things.
What other practices have multiple marriages? I know there are others.
There are. I don't recall.
Who knows? Maybe I was one of those. You don't know.
I just didn't find you, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that's what soulmate is.
Okay.
And then twin
versus
flame.
a twin flame or twin ray.
Uh-huh.
Okay. With your twin flame, how do you know if you've met them or met the individual? Or do you ever know?
Well, you do know when you get to a certain point, I guess. Like in my case, I was told. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. And that goes back to you and myself. So that's another story there. But when I was told that you're my twin brother, I'm like, really? Okay, no, that can't be. Not her?
You didn't want me.
that can't be. So I never imagined that could be, right?
Right.
Just never thought about that. But I was told that. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know that. I think just based on our relationship, because we're twin flames, and that's been made clear to us. I know the kids tell us all the time. It's always funny because just the other day, one of them called, and she was talking about something. Our eldest called. She was talking about something, and then I asked her, "Have you watched a video on so and so?" And she started laughing. I said, "What's so funny?" I said, "Because I was just." She told me she was talking to you. And then
I was just talking to Mom.
And the person that came out of your mouth was the exact same question.
We do that a lot.
And this has happened a lot, right? And then just we were in the house, and the guys, I don't know if we're about to eat or something, but they said something, and the way I responded, they started laughing. I said, "What's so funny?" I said, "Mom just said the exact same thing." So to me, you know how actual twins, can finish each other's sentences? Right.
Twins have really unique connections with one another. They just know things.
Right. I think that once you get, this is the key, that once you get to similar levels with your twin ray or twin flame, it's like being twins, because you literally can read each other's minds. Like now, you pick up on things that I tell you even before I tell you. You say, "Oh, you told me that." I do. And I was the only one that could do that before, right? I said, "You told me that 2 minutes ago."
We finish each other's sentences a lot, and
no, you finish my sentences.
I always jump in and interrupt him.
Exactly. Pretty much. Right? So,
or he'll tell me, "Wait, I'll answer your question soon," and I'll look at him like, "Wait, you didn't even